Welcome to another episode of GlobalOps Report, the podcast that takes you deep into the world of global affairs and security. I'm your host, and today we have a thought-provoking discussion centered around the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Our discussion today is inspired by an insightful article penned by Lieutenant General Ret. James M. Dubik, in which he emphasizes the significance of U.S. foreign policy leadership in the face of Russian aggression. While we won't explicitly mention the article, we will delve into the key points it raises. Let's jump right in by exploring the historical context that shapes our understanding of the current Ukraine crisis. Lieutenant General Dubik reminds us that the post-World War II period was marked by the determination to prevent another devastating conflict in Europe. Leaders of that era created institutions like NATO and the European Union, driven by the belief that a unified, peaceful Europe was in the best interest of not only Europe but also the United States. This historical perspective sets the stage for our discussion today, highlighting the stark contrast between the post-war commitment to stability and the current attitude towards Ukraine. Moving forward, we'll discuss the critical need for supporting Ukraine's efforts to eject Russian forces. Lieutenant General Dubik aptly points out that Ukraine is fighting for its sovereignty, and it's in the strategic interest of the US and NATO to support this fight. However, recent actions, as we've discussed, send a different message. Our next point of discussion is the significance of supplying Ukraine with the necessary equipment and resources to win. Lieutenant General Dubik emphasizes that the pace of logistics flow should be based on what Ukraine needs, not on fear of Russia's response. A slow pace risks playing into Putin's hands. Furthermore, we'll examine the implications of funding Ukraine's ability to sustain its fight. Lieutenant General Dubik suggests a comprehensive recovery program, combining humanitarian aid with economic reform grants and loans. Such an approach aligns with the enlightened self-interest of the US and NATO, as it's not just about humanitarian aid but investing in Ukraine's long-term stability. Lastly, we'll delve into the challenges of the post-fighting transition period. Lieutenant General Dubik warns that Putin is unlikely to stop his efforts to destabilize Ukraine even after the fighting ends. This phase will require strategic foresight, preparedness for continued Russian interference, and efforts to ensure a return to normalcy as quickly as possible. In conclusion, we'll emphasize the critical role of leadership in the face of aggression and its impact on global stability, echoing Lieutenant General Dubik's call for principled leadership to end the conflict and lead on the global stage. That concludes our discussion on the ongoing crisis in Ukraine and the broader implications it holds. We appreciate you joining us today on GlobalOps Report. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay safe.